So today we're going to be talking about the one mistake that's making you go soft in the bedroom. And let me tell you, it's one of the most bizarre things that you're going to experience in your lifetime. In order for you to really understand it, I have to go through some less interesting stuff to give you the context around it, but man, does this get weird when you see what's really happening behind the curtain of your erection problems. So if you stick it out, you'll clearly understand what's killing your erections. You'll realize it's 100% fixable, but you probably will need some outside help, and you'll have clear next steps. So to help you do all this, here's what we're going to talk about. The typical steps that men take when losing erections, why these steps don't get results backed by physiology, and what to do instead to actually get hard. So after talking with over 1,000 men about erection problems and having been through it myself, there's really only so many things that guys actually try when their erections don't work. So chances are that you've tried one or more of them. So Viagra and Cialis are vasodilators. So basically they're trying to increase the size of the arteries going into the penis so that there can be an increase in blood flow. This is typically the step guys take when they're just starting out, they don't really know what's going on, and they're just like, okay, I'll try it. So the next thing that guys tend to get into is things like supplements, diet, and exercise. And at this stage, they're usually targeting something like low testosterone, or they're trying to increase their nitric oxide production, once again to help with vasodilation to get more blood into the penis. The third stage that guys get into is when they start getting into cock rings, shockwave therapy, and looking at surgeries. And these are typically when they're in the stage where they think that something must be physically wrong with their body, and that's the reason they're not getting hard. And so my guess is that you probably think one of these is your best option, but you aren't really sure. You don't have ironclad evidence, and you don't really know what else to try because this is such a painful problem. And you don't really have a clear way forward other than hoping you'll stumble onto the right answer. That's certainly what happened to me. And once again, this is really bizarre, but you'll have a clear answer after this video. So let's talk about why these don't work and the mistake that you're making that's keeping you soft. So all these solutions, Viagra, supplements, diet, exercise, etc. They're all based on the assumption that something in your body isn't working right. Something must be added in order for you to get hard. And they're all focusing directly or indirectly on vasodilation, trying to increase the amount of blood going into your penis. So this is the mistake that you're making that's keeping you soft. Because nothing in your body is wrong. Today, your body is physically 100% capable of getting hard and staying hard enough for sex without any kind of drug or supplement. But there is something that's preventing your erections, and it's fixable. So I want to remind you, we're still in the getting through the necessary context phase before we get to the very strange problem. So stick with me, it'll be worth it. So I'm going to give you an analogy. How do you make a car go faster? Chances are your first thought was probably just press down the gas pedal. And this is the approach that you've been taking to getting harder erections. But the most efficient way to increase the speed of a car is not actually to put your foot on the gas. It's actually to take your foot off the brake. So if your foot is on the brake, it actually doesn't matter how hard you push the gas pedal, the car won't even move. Even if it moves a little bit, you could never drive on the road while the brake is on, because the brake can overpower the gas, even if you put the gas pedal all the way to the floor. So your body is the same way. You've been looking at how to add gas, but in reality, what you need to do is learn to take your foot off of the brake. That's right, your body has an erection brake pedal. It's called vasoconstriction, or constriction of the blood vessels that supply blood to the penis. It's the opposite process that your body uses to get an erection. Vasoconstriction is a really important part of the fight or flight mechanism because your body reorganizes blood flow to intentionally add blood flow to places that it needs during a fight, like the muscles, the heart, and the lungs. But it has to take the blood from somewhere because there's only a limited supply. So it takes it from places like the digestive system and the genitals that don't need it during fight or flight. So when fight or flight triggers, your adrenal glands release epinephrine and neuroepinephrine, which tell the alpha-1 receptors that are located in the arteries of the smooth muscle tissue in the corpus cavernosum and the corpus spongiosum to vasoconstrict. And these are the main areas of your penis that need to increase blood supply in order to get an erection. To get an erection, you need the opposite conditions. you need the smooth muscle tissues to expand or vasodilate. So when the brake goes up against the gas, the brake wins. Once again, there's nothing wrong with your body or your penis. It's behaving the way it's supposed to when it's threatened. It's moving blood away from your genitals and to things like your heart, your lungs, and your muscles. The reason Viagra works inconsistently or not at all, and the reason that supplements haven't helped you get results, and the reason that you're freaked out about an unfixable physical problem is that everything you've tried to fix this problem has ignored the fact that vasoconstriction will overpower anything that you throw at it. If your body thinks it's in danger, it will fight to shut down the erections. And it's really good at it. How do we know that's true? So the American Urological Association's guidelines on erectile dysfunction diagnosis actually tell us specifically that anxiety can override the injectable vasodilators and cause false positive diagnoses of ED. Think about that. The stronger, localized vasodilator that they are actually injecting directly into the penis is known to be overpowered by the vasoconstriction of anxiety. So what do you think happens to a weaker, more systemic vasodilator like Viagra, Cialis, or the supplements you've been taking? The brake wins. So you're probably thinking, okay, Cam, maybe that could be true. But why is fight or flight being triggered in sexual situations? I'm obviously safe. And how could I know if I'm in fight or flight? And why haven't I figured this out already if it's so logical? Great questions. And here's where things get really weird. Because you're right, in a sexual situation, you're likely physically safe. So to answer this, we have to look at how the fight or flight response is triggered to begin with. So it all starts with the amygdala, an area of the brain that's responsible for emotional processing. So it triggers fight or flight when it experiences an emotion that is too strong for it to deal with. So intense emotion triggers the amygdala. The amygdala tells the hippocampus to sound the alarm, and the hippocampus signals the adrenals, and then it's off to the races. It's much more complex than that, but these are the important parts for what we're talking about. Oh yeah, there's one more thing that's important, because not all intense emotions will trigger fight or flight. It's also about your perception of whether or not you can actually cope with the situation. But Cam, what's triggering my fight or flight response? The fact that you don't know what's causing your lost erections or how to fix them. That meets both of the conditions for the amygdala to trigger the fight or flight response. A strong negative emotion and a situation that you don't know how to cope with. What that means from a practical level is that every time you take Viagra, exercise, take a supplement, worry about venous leakage, think about it not being fixable, wonder if your girlfriend will leave you, wonder if you'll get hard the next time you walk into the bedroom, etc. You're actually creating the emotional conditions that will trigger your amygdala the next time you're in a sexual situation. And you probably think about this throughout the day, every day, because it's a painful problem. I certainly did. I thought about it all day, every day. And this is why this problem is so fucking hard to fix. Because thinking about it, going down Reddit or YouTube rabbit holes, learning about testosterone, taking supplements, even exercising, logically seems like it's improving the situation. But if you pay attention to how you feel while you're doing these things, you feel like shit. Because you don't know how to cope with it. And because you don't know how to cope with it, your amygdala says, oh crap, we're in a threatening situation. Sound the alarm. Your mind's attempt to solve the problem is actually creating it. Our minds do this all the time. And the reason you haven't been able to see the logic of this is because of something called amygdala hijacking. When you're in an emotionally heightened state, your amygdala can actually bypass your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical part of your brain. So you stay in an emotional state that prevents you from thinking logically about how to fix it. So in Buddhism, they use a metaphor to describe this. There's a woman whose possessions keep disappearing. She asks a man to help her investigate who's stealing from her. This is a man she trusts quite a lot. And it turns out that the man doing the investigation is actually the thief. So of course he doesn't find the real thief. Your mind can't figure out what's causing your erection problems because it's causing your erection problems. For you to get your erections back, two really important things need to happen. Both are very doable, and they're very simple, but they aren't easy, especially on your own, because you're with your mind 24/7, and it's really good at tricking you. And if you do them, your erections will go back to 100%. You'll stay hard while you have sex every single time, and you'll completely stop thinking about this during the day. You'll actually look forward to sexual situations, and you'll feel secure in your relationships. You'll feel more confident in your everyday life. You'll be proud as hell of yourself for overcoming something so painful. So first, you have to stop thinking about this during the day. When you walk into the bedroom feeling like shit, you've lost 70% of the battle to get hard. It doesn't matter how you do it, but you have to stop researching, thinking about consequences, wondering if you're going to get hard, and worrying that you're broken. The second is that you have to create a healthy relationship with sex that takes the pressure off. Other things that cause the emotions that trigger your amygdala are ideas like, I have to get hard, I have to make her come, I have to come, etc. I know it's really easy for me to say those things, but they're hard to do. Fighting your own mind by yourself is a losing battle, because you'll keep trusting the thief while it steals from you. It'll steal your happiness, your joy, and your erections. But I beat my mind, and I've helped over 100 guys like you beat theirs. I've developed systems to help you go from barely getting hard, having no libido, feeling hopeless that this can even be fixed, to being able to have sex consistently, staying hard, and knowing that your erections will work every single time. I'll help you see the clear path through this, which will calm down your amygdala almost immediately. So if you want to start seeing results like this in the first 30 days, book a call with me down below. I'd love to help you fix this for good.